Welcome to Bet On. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Marco D'Angelo and Gianni Corrales, both of WagerTalk.com. It is week 14 of the NFL. We're going to give you guys a little bonus segment this week and go over some of our favorite bowl games. I was going to go first, but I'm going to make Marco go first. We're going to mix things up a little bit, kind of like we do with VR's Gold.
No problem, Kelly. I'll kick it off. And, whenever you're handicapping bowl games, one of the handicaps is you got to try to figure out which teams are motivated, which ones are happy to be there. And then, of course, with the lesser bowls, thanks to, the playoff system, kind of rendering the other bowls as simply exhibition games. You have a lot of players that will opt out of playing. But one thing that you do have in the lesser bowls, it's more likely to get all hands on deck because these are not top flight NFL candidates, and they're not going to sit out. With that said, I'm going to look at Appalachian State and Western Kentucky. Appalachian State is a team since 2014 has been to the Bowls 6 times. They are a perfect 6-0 straight up in those bowl games. So we know this team likes to go to the Bowls and make a statement. Since they came on the big board, they like playing in these games. And you look at Western Kentucky on the surface, knee-jerk reaction might be to grab Western Kentucky as they score a ton of points. This is a team that has scored 40-plus in 6 straight games. Problem is their defense gives up just as many. This is a team that has trouble stopping anybody, especially against the run. Now, I look at Appalachian State, and when you talk about Western Kentucky, the strength to Western Kentucky is their passing game. Well, we've got a defense in Appalachian State that is number 21 in the country at yards per play. They allow just 5 yards per play for the season. That's 21st best in the country. I think they'll be able to slow Western Kentucky down. And I talk about pass defense. You're not having a lot of success against this Appalachian State team. They are rendering just 55% completion rate, and the touchdown to interception ratio, they've allowed 12 throwing TDs this year, and they've got 15 interceptions. That's always a great stat when you're getting more picks than giving up touchdowns. I'll go with Appalachian State. They'll run the football down Western Kentucky's throat, and when you're trying to milk the clock at the end and hold a lead, you want a team that can run the football. That's what they do best. I'll go Appalachian State, and I'm calling it 41-31 App State.
Well, I was going to kick it to VR, but Marco gave me the perfect segue for my best bet in college football this weekend, and that is Louisiana Lafayette, the team that just beat App State in the Sun Belt Championship game. This is a ULL team that just lost their head coach to Billy Napier. And at first, I looked at this game going, interesting reverse line movement here with Marshall. But I'm not necessarily buying this Marshall hype. We've got this Cajuns team who only lost 1 game this season. That's right, their opener to Texas. That was the only time they gave up more than 20 points. They've allowed just 18.3 points per game this season. 11 opponents, less than 20 points. I don't know how Marshall's going to score against this defense. I'm going to be really honest with you. Also lean towards the under here. But we do know that Marshall offensive attack can give some teams fits. I think 5 points here is a very strange number. I made this game 7. So I'm going to take the Ragin' Cajuns to win this one by at least a touchdown. VR, who are your thoughts for this weekend's bowl slate?
Yeah, and I'm throwing a curveball in the mix too because, listen, it's tough for me to share bowl information because I live for postseasons. There's a ton of value. But a lot of the plays we fire on, the line then moves significantly. Like I gave out a 5% play already on Western Michigan +6. That's gone. I gave out a 4% best bet on Michigan State, also at +3, I think, +2 also. Now they're favored. And here I was going to give South Carolina at +8.5 because I just think it's being dummied up. I don't consider this a legit move, even though the line's gone through 7, because of what I see these groups I'm working with doing with this game. And again, I've been moving for decades, and you get a feel for what's legit and what's being set up. and I just have a strong feeling that's what's happening. But then I gave out a 3% play. At least this one I got to the window with. So let's use this for the show. And it's Tennessee. I gave them out at -4. As long as they're not above 6 right now, and I don't think they are. I think it's like 4.5. That's the play I would use. And the reason's simple. They have good momentum coming into this bowl game, having won 3 of their last 4 games. I like that. But more importantly, on the flip side of that same coin is you have an offense that is superior to Purdue's, but then on the defensive side of the ball, Purdue doesn't have the advantages that Tennessee has on the offensive side of the ball, meaning the Tennessee defense is right there. And that's why they are the rightful favorites, and you're seeing this one get bet up. Again, this is one of those spots where I was surprised it was under a touchdown. But then when I looked and I'm like, wait, it's because Purdue's got the better record. They did good ATS and they put up points. You know, it's a team that puts up points, and bettors like to back those type of teams. But this is just the kind of matchup that you're going to see Tennessee be able to pull away from slowly but surely. At least that's what the metrics show. You have this Tennessee defense where Purdue's offense is going to be so one-dimensional. They only rush for 2.9 yards per rush. And you have a Tennessee defense that holds offensive teams to below the NCAA average by over 25%. They're that much better. So they're going to shut down an already bad run game for Purdue. It's going to leave them one-dimensional. That makes it so much easier for a defense that's already excellent against the pass. Average NCAA defense allows 7.4 yards per pass attempt. This defense in Tennessee allows 6.6, well below that. So they're going to have some problems, Purdue, throwing the football. They'll get shut down slowly, but surely Tennessee pulls away. You'll see margin. They'll cover by more than a touchdown. Lay the points with Tennessee. I got to the window. It's a 3% play, not a best bet, but I did back that opinion with my cash, and I can't say that with South Carolina yet.
All right. Thank you, VR and Marco, for your bowl picks. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's time for some of those primetime games.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, college football bowl season, baby. And there are 42 bowl and playoff games to keep us entertained for almost 3.5 weeks. Starting with Toledo versus Middle Tennessee State and going through the national championship on Monday, January 10th, pick your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper and get every college football bowl game they release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $35 for the low price of $149. As an added bonus, make sure to download the free WagerTalk College Football Bowl Guide by going to wt.buzz/rm. From everyone at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, good luck this college football bowl season.
Welcome back to Bet On It. Let's head over to Thursday Night Football. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers. Total 52. Mark, I'm going to go to you first. This was the reason for your sandwich game last week. Chargers ended up throttling a very short-staffed, quarterbackless Jake Fromm-led Giants team. And that's because we thought that the Chargers might be looking ahead to this one.
Yeah, Kelly, the situational stuff did not work last week, that's for sure. But looking at this game, this is a spot where, you know, it's a second meeting. And if you remember on Monday night, I took you back to the first meeting and said, okay, was there anything out of the ordinary from the first meeting to the second meeting? And we talked about that big game that the Rams had come off of. I went back and looked at this one, and what I saw was Kansas City lost at home. That was the third week of the season. That's when the defense was in total disarray, and that's when Kansas City was turning the football over on a weekly basis. In fact, in that first game, they turned the football over 4 times. And one of the things about the 4 times that they turned it over, most of them were deep in Charger territory, meaning they were about to put points on the board and came away with nothing. I point that out because even though 4 turnovers in that game, and you know the NFL stats. If you're +4 on a turnover margin in a game, you're going to win that NFL game almost every time. But they only won it by 6 points. That tells me how dominant the Chiefs really were in that first game, that they still only lost by 6 points. Now we fast forward to right now. The Chiefs are nowhere near the same team that they were at the beginning of the season. They got back some people on defense. And if you remember last year, the Chiefs did the same thing. They went on a run with the defense at the end of the year when they got some missing players back. And if you look at it, this Chief defense, even though and I'll be the first to admit, some of the teams they've played have been very inept offensively, but you still can't argue with the consistency over the last 5-6 games of what they've done. I'm going to go with Kansas City to get the revenge here. I think this is a game they want to win. And you know what? You got the Chargers breathing down their backs. If they lose both games to the Chargers, they're in a tie, and the Chargers have the tiebreaker in the division. I think the Chargers get the job done. I'm going to call it Kansas City 31-20.
The AFC West is going to be interesting this next couple of weeks, VR. As Marco mentioned, this is the Kansas City Chiefs team finally making a push. It was like for the first 7 weeks of the season, they just kind of lollygagged around. Is this Chargers team the real deal? It's hard for me to tell sometimes.
I think they're who we think they are. I mean, it sounds cliche, but they're an 8-5 football team. They're one game above 500 ATS, and nothing too surprising. More surprising is Kansas City, who has very quietly won 6 straight games and, more importantly, covered 4 straight against the spread, because they're the darling coming into the season, not the Chargers. And halfway through the season, at least 4 or 5 games in, it was the narrative, at least, this isn't last year's Kansas City. This isn't the Kansas City of the last few seasons. They're trying to show us, yeah, we are, especially with an improved defense, because you already know what they could do on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you're number 4 in rushing success, and you're number 1 in passing success. It doesn't get any better than that. Number 2 overall. And that's one of the most predictive metrics we have to use. And you're looking at a team that's dominant, rushing the football and throwing the football. Now, I placed already 9 bets this week in the NFL, and I'm about to unload on the UFC too. I really love this week. All best bets, big bets too. The only reason I haven't gotten to the window yet with Kansas City is this is the side I like in this game. Like, I want to bet Kansas City, and at -3, I think it's plus EV. The reason I haven't is because I'm seeing the market go against me. And I've done this long enough to respect a move like that when it comes down to a key number. I know how, even though gambling Twitter lets you think otherwise, I know how few bettors are actually profitable lifetime or even year after year. Nothing's going to prove my point more than the first week of January. Crickets. No one's in a rush to tell you how they did in 2021. That much I can promise you. But during the season, you'll hear about all the hot streaks. And when I see a line move from 4 down to 3, I have to pay attention. Is it injuries? No, that's not injuries. So what is it? Is it public money that early in the week? Probably not. So it's definitely some sharp. Now, are they getting ahead of the market, thinking it's going to drop down to a key number? And if I have a 4 in my pocket or a 3.5 in my pocket and it closes 3, even if I don't like the side, I have made a decent bet. Is it a case of that? That's what I'm trying to figure out between now and tomorrow night. Because if I conclude that it's not a legit move, then I'm unloading a best bet on Kansas City -3. And I'm probably going to go under also. And I'm going to ignore that move towards the over as well and conclude that both are nothing more than getting out ahead of the betting market, which is something I know they do. I've done it with them for so long. So for me, that's my actionable information. I love Kansas City in this spot. They're as legit as they come. That defense is for real right now. They're playing better than their metrics show. Real quickly, it shows they're 28th against the rush and 22nd against the pass in success rate. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you look over the last 6 games, which they won, only 2 teams scored more than 14. In fact, one scored 14, one scored 17. The other 3 were held. The other 4 less than 10 points. And let me name some of those teams: Dallas, Green Bay. They're offensive teams. It's not like they played the worst. So again, not to go long, but I think Kansas City is so the right side. And I even think the under has value now that it's above that 51. But I can't understand why the market is going against me on both of these strong opinions. And I'm never going to lay 11 to win 10 and fade if I know it's winning action on the other side. So sorry to, not put the stamp. I'm giving Kansas City for the show, but I wish I could tell you I fired a best bet, because that's what I want to do. But I'm telling you why I haven't so far.
I just would like to make a quick correction, because I know it's going to jump in the Twitter comments. It was Mike Glennon that ended up starting for the Giants last weekend. I clearly did not watch a second of that game. I was too busy, hating my life for taking the Washington football team. But that's another story for another day. I just wanted to correct myself prior to seeing in the comments later. Let's talk to Saturday night game. We have a pair of Saturday NFL games this weekend. New England at Indianapolis. Indianapolis is now a 2.5-point favorite. Total 45.5. Marco, you and I are going head to head here, and I'll leave it as a quick synopsis. But I love one side of this game, and a teaser this week. You're on the other side on the money line. Should I even let you talk here, or should we just skip that till the end of the game, to the end of the show?
Let's skip to the end of the show with it. But Kelly, I'm going to be a little bit full disclosure. I've got a teaser on New England too, with the Rams from Monday. So because they're separate bets. There's EV obviously on New England with the teaser. So we'll leave it at that for now, but we're going to talk about something else in best bets. I did want to say one thing, Kelly, just quickly back to Thursday. I forgot to give 2 really nice stats I found on the Thursday night game that favor Kansas City. The Chiefs, we talked about their defense. Over the last 3 seasons, if they've allowed 17 or less points in back-to-back games, they are 9-1 against the spread in their next game. They continue to run well. And the Chargers, we talked about, we expected them to be flat last week. Well, they weren't. And they put up over 400 yards of offense last week. Well, I dug this one up on the Chargers. Over the last 3 seasons, if they've gained 400 or more yards in their previous game, they're just 2-13 in the next game. So sorry, I forgot to give that in the other section, but I thought we needed to put those ones out there.
Marco, I swear today is Monday, not Wednesday. I have made so many mistakes, and we're not even into segment number 2 yet. Back to that Saturday night primetime game for VR. Marco and I already alluded to, I think this is a perfect spot for New England in a teaser. Low total or lower total, 45.5. Did you play anything on this game? Have you seen anything come across your screen?
I did, and I'm going to save some time for later, because cue up that train, because this is the steam play for this week as well. I want to give plays that I actually got to the window with for our viewers. So I'm not going to make up a play later. This is as steam as it gets. We bet the over, and right now it is where it is. Let me look. 45 at Pinnacle, 45 at DraftKings, 45.5 at Circa Westgate. So grade me at 45.5. That's fine. I gave it out at 44.5 or 45 to my subscribers. Regardless, the over's the way we're going. And the reason's simple. Indianapolis will have success running the football, and that's going to allow them to also throw the football. See, this New England defense is legit. I mean, what other word can you use? Over the last, 5 weeks, they allowed 6 points, 7 points, 0 points, 13 points, and 10 points. So, yeah, this is as good of a defense as you're going to get. With all that said, they've played some tough games back to back. They come off that key TV game with Buffalo in the snow. I think you're going to have a slight let up here. And Indianapolis at home, again, will have success moving the football. Now, on the flip side of that coin, which I always like to say, defense. I think New England's going to be able to score against Indianapolis. but not turn it into a one-sided game where then they're just going to rush and you're going to see one-sided scoring. And I always say you need two teams scoring more times than not to get an over. And when you look at both these teams, I mean, I don't think you're going to have much problems there. Both offensively, yards per play above the NFL average. You see rushing, passing, everything on the offensive metrics all point towards well above NFL average. And I think the only reason this total isn't that high, even though it's a primetime game, is because the New England defense, which has allowed nothing of late, coupled with Indianapolis, who's played some D themselves. They come off having shut out their opponent last week. So there's some recency bias in that mix. Let's go over 45. I also bet the Vegas Raiders at plus 3.5, but now they're a minus 1.5 point favorite. So that value's gone. But like I said, I got involved a lot this week and got out early in some of these lines, but there's still enough to get down on that over if you agree with me. So that's the steam play this week, over 45.5 for New England, Indianapolis.
All right, Sunday night. I'm excited for this one. Going to take Grandma to the Bucs game because she is the biggest Saints fan that I know. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 10.5 point favorite. Total 46.5. Marco, how bad are the Saints going to disappoint Grandma on Sunday night?
Well, I just hope they don't disappoint me. And I'm tired of stepping in front of the Tom Brady freight train, but here we go. This is a spot where I'm going to do it again, Kelly. You look at Tampa Bay and, coming off, monster game last week against Buffalo, had the huge lead, was burying Buffalo. And then Buffalo came all the way back, had a chance to win it, couldn't get the interference call in the end zone, had to settle for the field goal, go to overtime, and then, well, we know what happened there. Kelly, I look at this game and people are going to, I think, the knee-jerk reaction, John Q. Public, as I like to refer to. And John Q. Public, remember, this week, they're a little bit extra confident after last week. They had a monster week. There's no question about that. We talked about it on Monday's show. So they got extra money in their pocket, and they're not going to have any problems laying the wood with these favorites. I think this is too many points for a Sunday night game for the Saints. And if you remember going back and looking at that first game, yeah, the Saints won it. So we're going to automatically jump on Tampa Bay in revenge. They've been super at home. This is a team at home that, is dominated. They're 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the spread. But I looked a little deeper at that first game. And if you remember, Jameis Winston got hurt early in that game, and there was no Taysom Hill. So the Saints were able to pull that off with, dare I say it, Trevor Siemian. Come on. You remember that from Denver, Kelly. He sucks. All right. And they still were able to get the win. And they ran the football down the throats of Tampa Bay. And Tampa knew they were going to run the football. They were down to a third string quarterback and they still had success. That concerns me. Taysom Hill's back for this game. I like the Saints to keep this one close. And I just think you're going to have a little bit of added value with some of these big dogs this week simply because of what happened last week. We know what Vegas does. They have a Sunday like they had last week. They cry, bitch, moan all day on Twitter of how bad of a day it was. They know what the public's going to do the next week. They're going to be right there playing the favorites. They're going to juice the favorites on them a little bit, and it'll be a normal Sunday. You'll have 2 or 3 upsets, and the house will get fat again. I'll take the Saints plus the points on Sunday night.
Marco, I'd like to add something. I did tweet after that game, there would be no Trevor Siemian slander ever again. That man is a saint. He got me to cash my best bet and kept it rolling. So sorry, Trevor. Marco didn't mean it. And thank God you're not starting this weekend. We'll get to my take on the Saints game at the end of the show. VR, you're kind of a Saints fan, or were, or are, or how does that really work? What are your thoughts on this team, and can they keep it close with the Bucs?
Yeah, I love the Saints. I'm down with the Saints. You know that. But I'm willing to fade or follow. It depends on where the value is. I'm going to save time again. I'm really condensing this show for the viewers because, again, I want to give actionable information and actionable plays, bets that I got to the window with, since I did get to the window already this week. Sometimes we do the show and I haven't gotten to the window yet. So it's tougher to share information. But this week, baby, we don't have that problem. I got to the window a lot. So I'll give the Sunday night football play, and this will be my dog play. So you could grade it as towards that record. Because I took the 11 points. I gave it out as 11 and a half I actually took. But I gave it out at 11 as a 4% best bet. And here's why. Marco nails it. We are getting the benefit of Hill. Now, the return of Hill didn't go as planned. Against Dallas, he returns, throws 4 interceptions. They don't get the cover. But you saw last week against the Jets that these metrics are skewed. And what am I talking about? That when you look at offensive passing for the Saints, right now they stand at 29th in the NFL in success rate, offensively passing the football. You look at them passing yards per attempt, 6.4, 0.3 below the NFL average. Remember, we talked about that early in the season. And I said, they're going to get up to that NFL average. Well, now with Hill, that'll probably happen. If he didn't come back, it probably wouldn't. You have a third, fourth string quarterback. Yeah, you're going to end up below average probably for the entire season. But that's where we have the benefit that you have these really skewed metrics, but with a much different quarterback. And the drop-off is very significant. And I think that's where we're getting a ton of line value, because the Saints defensively shouldn't be getting double digits by anybody. Bottom line is this, and I'll get back to that success rate. Number 1 against the rush, number 7 against the pass. Now they know Tampa's coming for revenge because they beat them earlier in the season. So this isn't a defense that is going to be taking any weeks off. Now, a few weeks back, I said, listen, you're only going to be able to hold that dam for so long. Like, if your offense isn't helping, eventually the defense is going to crack, because you can't keep going in there in bad situations and bailing out an offense that isn't putting up points and putting you in any position to win games. You're just going to lose that effort. And without effort, you ain't playing defense. I don't think that's going to happen here. I think they're going to show up. It's Tampa looking for revenge, coming off a big win against Buffalo in overtime. They're going to get the Saints' best game, and I think it's good enough to stay within 11 points. Good enough to win outright? Probably not. And I know the dog segment is find a dog that could win the game. I haven't bet a dog this week yet, other than the Raiders, who are now a favorite, other than the Saints. So I don't just want to pick one out of a hat. I want to give you a game that I got to the window with. Saints plus 11, win or lose, my money's on that side.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's time for some TNA with Ralph Michaels.
Now you can enjoy the happiness of the holidays for the next 6 months by paying less and making more money by getting 180 days of picks from your favorite handicapper at a huge discount. This limited time Christmas special gives you a 90-day all-access pass with a handicapper of your choice at WagerTalk.com, plus an additional 90 days of all-access passes at no additional cost, an $849 value. This comes out to just under $5 per day, includes all sports released and any 5% best bets, normally priced at $35 each. Your access with your handicapper will cover NFL through the Super Bowl, college football through the national championship, any NBA and NHL action, including playoff games played during access and the start of the MLB season. Plus, if your handicapper does UFC, soccer, tennis, or any sport, yep, it's included. Happy holidays from everyone at WagerTalk.
Welcome back to Bet On It. I'm Kelly Stewart here with the man of the hour, Mr. Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV, killing the NBA game right now. Ralph, every single morning I wake up, Errol Epstein gets your NBA guide before I even check Twitter and has it in our group chat, because that is how on fire it's been. You can touch on that as well as where everybody can get your college football bowl guide.
Well, at Cal Sports LV, I published the WagerTalk NBA stat sheet with a free best bet. Just this Monday, Kelly, the WagerTalk sponsored Gold Sheet College basketball stat sheet started. I put that on my Twitter as well. Most importantly, though, it's bowl season. It is an awesome guide, the WagerTalk College Football Bowl Guide, absolutely free. You just go to my homepage, wt.buzz/RM. It has the logs, first quarter, first halves. It has 9 pages of bowl notes from JM Sports CLE over at Sports Memo. But most importantly, when I look at the statistical breakdown, Kelly, I broke down versus winning FBS teams only and road neutral games. So we deduct those big blowout wins that you have, and you're looking at meaningful stats. So all of that information, a free bowl guide. And secondly, I do want to mention for my college bowls package, number one, you can still get a 5% bowl play for this weekend for only $2. It may not be in the main brick, but it is on my homepage. And more importantly, I just loaded 3 more bowl games. So I have 4 bowl games loaded already. Number one at WagerTalk over the last 4 years, hitting 69% in bowl games. Use the code BOWL50, BOWL50, and you'll get every bowl game I have this entire bowl season for $99. That's BOWL50. BOWL50 saves you $50 off the regular $149 price.
I love to hear it, Ralph. I personally am in a bowl pool where I have to pick every single side or total on all 44 bowl games. So I'm going to be texting you because there's a lot of these games that I have no opinion on. So I could always use a little TNA from my good friend, Ralph. Ralph, let's get into some of that TNA for this weekend's college bowl games. What have you dug up for us?
I have a few situations we'll talk about, and right after that, we'll get to a few NFL situations as well. First off, someone reached out to me on Twitter and say, hey, how do bowl teams do when they're coming in off a losing game as a favorite? Well, I went back all the way since 2000. When a team is off back-to-back games that they lost as a favorite, like Liberty is, those teams in bowl games, Kelly, have covered 25%. That's right. You have a fade play for a 75% angle. So teams like Liberty off back-to-back losses as a favorite, only 25% in the bowl. That says to play Eastern Michigan. Now I wanted to do the flip side. What happens when a team is off back-to-back wins as a dog, like Hawaii is? Well, there's only been 17 times in the last 15 years that teams have won back-to-back games as an underdog going into the bowl. They've gone 10-7, 59%. And just a little FYI, when a team like Hawaii is playing at home, those teams have gone 7-5 against the spread, 58.3%. Again, Hawaii playing at their home against Memphis. So Hawaii in a nice situation off a back-to-back win as a dog. Also a positive to play a bowl game at home. And a couple more to mention. Kelly, you and I have become good friends of John Ryan. He's given us some great content. You can follow John at Twitter at John Ryan Sports and the number 1. You can find him over at Sports Memo. But he brings up this very successful and very intriguing bowl situation. Teams that lost their championship game, they played in the conference championship and they lost their championship game, and now they're a favorite or a pick'em, have gone 7-22 against the spread. That is only 24%. Who fits that mold? Appalachian State. Played in the conference championship, lost, and they are now the favorite in this bowl game. So 7-22 against the spread, 24%. Also, the under has gone 21-8 since 2006. So that says lean both that. He has one subset to this, Kelly. If you lose by 7 or more, like App State did, listen to this. They have lost against the spread 14 straight times. That's right, 0-14 against the spread. That's a situation App State finds themselves in versus Western Kentucky. And the final college bowl situation, we know academies do very well. They don't get caught up in the hype. It's hard to prep for that option. They are adults and they take everything serious. Bulldogs that are a dog of 3.5 or smaller or a favorite, playing a team that averages over 25 points per game, have gone both 15-2 straight up and 15-2 ATS. So take a look at Army against Missouri in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, or Air Force plus the 1.5 against Louisville in the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. And again, excuse me, thank you, at John Ryan Sports and the number 1.
John is so great. Just like you, Ralph, we maybe need to get a little bit of a partnership here where maybe we just do a big time TNA show with you two. Let's move on to what you've got for this week in the NFL.
4 quick hitters. I didn't want to make it too long since we talked some college bowls as well, but the old favorite is back, Kelly. Division away favorites of 8 or more. They went 2-0 again 2 weeks ago. We talked about those 2 on this show. It's the Cowboys and the Giants this week. That angle, now 10 overs, 33 unders. That is 77% to the under. When you have a division away favorite of 8 points or more, it is as close as I get to an automatic play in that situation. Look for the Cowboys and Giants under the total. Week 8 on. So we're into the second half of the season. We have a team that has a win percentage of 65% and higher, and they're off a loss as a home favorite. I don't think anyone would argue situationally this is a great setup. Winning team second half of the year, winning team that's won 2/3 of their games or more. They're off a home loss as a favorite. Those teams have covered 66%. That this week, the Arizona Cardinals against the Detroit Lions. 2 more in the NFL to talk about. We've mentioned this one as well, one of my favorites as well. You have a team off a straight up ATS win and cover against a team off an ATS loss and a straight up loss, and the lines are between the 3s. So an evenly matched game between the 3s, one team off a straight up an ATS loss, one team off a straight up an ATS win. The teams that are off the loss, 32-51, 38.6%. So we're talking Bengals and Broncos. We're talking Steelers and Titans. And this angle says to play on Denver and on Tennessee. And the final one, teams that lost the yardage battle, but won as a dog and are now favorite. So you were outgained, but you did win the game as a dog. So you had quality special teams. Perhaps you were plus turnovers. And now you're a favorite. That's the Rams and Seahawks this week. 47 ATS wins, 28 ATS losses. That says back the Rams in this situation. So Cowboys, Giants under, Cardinals, Rams, and then the between the 3 systems says to back Denver and Tennessee.
Thank you, as always, to Ralph. Make sure you guys are following him at Cal Sports LV. One of the best, especially when it comes to those guides over at WagerTalk. Let's bring back in Marco and VR for this week's teasers. Marco, you're up first.
All right, Kelly, the teaser that I'm going to use for the show, we had to do some changing around because I'll tell you what, the lines are bouncing all over the place this week. Most of it is due to COVID issues and players in, players out, lines moving. Teams that were small favorites are now pick'ems and underdogs. So full disclosure, I do have for my clients from Monday night, because at the time, and that's the beauty of it, you grab long teasers when they're there, the right numbers. I have live teasers with the Rams to New England, to San Francisco, and to Cincinnati. Now we're looking at things, and the situation that I come up with what we've got live for this show is we're going to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the first end of my teaser. It's the classic teaser spot. We're going through all the key numbers, taking the Steelers plus 1.5 up to 7.5, going through the 3, 4, 6, and 7. It's a low total. And for the Steelers from a handicap side, this is a team that's coming off a Thursday night game. We talked in depth why we went against them on that Thursday night game, coming back on that short week. Now they've had those extra days, and it's going to be a benefit to the Steelers. They should get 2 key pieces back to their defense, and those 2 key pieces are TJ Watt and Joe Hayden. That defense totally different when Watt's on the field. I'll go ahead and take take Pittsburgh against Tennessee, because I just don't see Tennessee getting separation against this Steeler team. Second half, it's Cincinnati. Now, this numbers was 2.5 when we opened to do the show last night. It's moved some. We're starting to see some 3s, but I'm still going to take Cincinnati on the teaser, even if you're looking at 3. Most people will say that the right play is, don't use Cincinnati in the teaser. You just take Cincinnati straight at +3. That's the math. But we're looking at a low total. Every point's a premium, and I'm getting through that extra touchdown. I just don't see this Denver offense getting that kind of separation against Cincinnati. Cincinnati's lost 2 in a row, but you know what? Nobody beat them. They beat themselves. That is what killed Cincinnati the last 2 weeks. 6 turnovers. If they have a clean game, they're in this one right to the end. I'm teasing Cincinnati up. That's where I'm at. And can you really get excited about Denver putting up 38 points against the Detroit team that was coming off their first win of the season? And how many players were actually out for the Lions last week? I'm throwing that game completely out, not looking at Denver to put up those kind of numbers again.
Marco, I just mentioned the AFC West and the playoff push, and I need the Broncos to win 2 more games. I think the Broncos might win this game. The market may agree that they do so, but I, as a Denver Broncos fan, cannot trust this team as a favorite. I also have Cincinnati in my teasers. I also have had a bunch of open teasers with the Rams for Monday night, including ones with the Patriots. So my recommendation for this week is going to be the Bengals and the Patriots in teasers. There's still plenty of 2.5s right now on the WagerTalk odds screen. VR, I know you're skipping this week's teasers. Is that just because we absolutely crushed last week?
No, because honestly, the only 2 teams right now that I could even argue fall under the wong is what Marco said, Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. And if I go back and look at my record, a handful of my losses come from teasers that I would never bet and didn't bet. So I don't want to give out stuff that I don't think's going to win. And more importantly, I never want to give out a bet that I know for fact is negative EV. So we've already explained, if this is the first time you're watching the show, please go back. We've done multiple videos. You don't have to watch a whole show on the only reason you should use a teaser and why you're paying $120 or $130 for that privilege. And otherwise, you shouldn't do it. So I can't do it and actually urge anyone to bet a bet that is negative EV. I used to do that when I first got into this industry because I didn't know how to win. I look back at things that I said and I cringe. And it's a great saying. Like, if you don't cringe, if you don't look back at yourself and cringe, you're not evolving. And I look back at what I thought 10, 15 years ago, buying half a point when I shouldn't have, and teasing when I shouldn't have, and actually urging others to do the same. I now understand why I say 99% of the content we watch comes from losing bettors. I was that losing bettor producing that content that people are watching today. I'm trying to right that ship, man. That's all I'm trying to do. So I'm telling you, there's no teaser for me to share, and I won't give you Pittsburgh and Cincinnati because I actually bet Denver. I released Denver as a 4% best bet at -140 on the money line. Yes, I laid the -140 because if I'm going to lay -120 to lay 2.5, I'm sure as hell going to lay the extra 20 cents to get it at a pick 'em when I know the high probability this line goes to 3. So I gave it out. I can't, again, I am on Denver. I'm on Denver to win this game. So I can't get out a tease against them. Grade it how you will. or pass. But yeah, free play, I guess I just gave you. Denver on the money line. Follow or fade, it's on you. But that's my best bet for the teaser segment.
Love it. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, is the deli back open after last week's stinky sandwich? We already alluded to who his team game was. And of course, we've got some of those barking dogs.
Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome back to Bet On It. It is now time for VR's Steam Game of the Week.
As I touched on earlier, we're getting involved early. It worked for us last week with the best bet. I think I used the Thursday night game. So we're going to go with the Saturday night. New England, Indianapolis, went over 45, over 45 and a half. You're good. Don't wait. I only expect it to go higher. So that's this week's Steam play.
All right, Marco. I'm a little sick after last week's sandwich. I'm not going to lie to you. After we knew Danny Dimes and there was the Jake Fromm, Mike Glennon, didn't know who was going to be the quarterback. And then, of course, the line dropped from 10.5 to 8.5. I said, all right, I'm too late to the party on Marco's sandwich game. I'm going to give you a free pass and not condemn the deli this week. So I know you're back with another stinky freaking tuna fish sandwich.
Well, Kelly, the only reason they kept the deli open when the health department came in, I showed them the closing line value trophy. I said, we beat the closing line. They let me stay open for it. That's what happened. So we can come back with it. And we're going to have a stinky one. And there's not going to be anybody in the world that's going to want to bet Carolina this week against Buffalo. But I look at this Buffalo team, and yeah, they're laying 10.5. And we talked about it on a Sunday night game. I think that these big double-digit favorites are too much, and I think it's going to be an overreaction this week with the betting public. They're all going to want to jump on board those good teams that are looking to bounce back, got to win last week. They all came home. Why not? Buffalo's lost 2 tough games in a row. They're in an angry mood, but you know what? No matter what they do this week, all they got to do is just win. That's the key. Get in, get out, and win. Look at next week. You want to talk about a sandwich? They're coming off playing that Monday night game against New England where you had all the weather conditions. Then you go on the road and play Tampa, come all the way back from the grave, have an opportunity to win the game, settle for the field goal, go to overtime and lose it there. Yeah, they're in an angry mood, but they got to play New England next week for the division. That's the game that means everything. If they lose to New England again, it's done. They don't win. They have no shot at winning the division. And if they lose next week, really, they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot. I'm looking at Carolina at an inflated number. And don't forget, right now, Josh Allen's listed as questionable. I do expect him to play. He has a toe injury. But if that limits him at all, that takes away a key part of his arsenal. And what kept those drives alive for Buffalo is when he tucked the ball and run. If he's not effective doing that this week, some of those 3rd and 7s that he converted, 3rd and 8s, they're not going to be there. You're going to punt the football. Carolina's going to have opportunities, and Carolina's got nothing to lose. They can play loose. They can take chances. I'll take Carolina in the sandwich spot plus the double digits. Do I think they can win this game? No. Buffalo will survive. But I think this is one of those ones. It's a 1-score game, and Buffalo gets the win non-impressively, but they move on to the big showdown next week.
I'm already physically ill from that sandwich, Marco. But who is going to want any part of the Carolina Panthers after last week? Not I. So, of course, guess who's walking up to that deli window to place her bets? VR, I'm going to kick it back to you for this week's Barking Dog. You already gave out. You're just doing the whole show for me.
nice and quickly, baby. On to the next one, because I gave the Saints plus 11 because that's the only dog other than, like I said, the Las Vegas Raiders at plus 3.5, which are no longer available that I could share. And unfortunately, this is the final UFC card of the year. And like I said, I'm dropping some vicious bombs. And it's not just fair to the guys, the subscribers, to give that shit out. So again, no disrespect. I love our viewers and our supporters. Smash that like button. And when we give the best bet, I'll throw some NFL maybe. We'll see. Yeah, thanks for the dog play this week.
See, this is why I want to go back to it live, so I can jump in the comments here and actually see the comments as they happen. So I can see those likes going up, because VR literally said during the break, he's like, I'm not giving them shit. I don't see any likes. I'm like, God, I love VR.
Yeah. They don't smash that like. I ain't giving shit. Because for one, people are willing to pay top dollar because I have a history of winning for them. I want to win for you. And all I'm asking you to do is go down there and do the like. And you're like, nah, dude, give me a hand job too, and then I'll hit the like for you. Nah. Hit the fucking like, dude. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, Marco, on that note, I'm just completely speechless. That doesn't ever happen. But Marco's got a barking dog for us.
I don't know where to go after that, Kelly. It's we went sideways with the show, but my barking dog for this week is who is my barking dog? My barking dog is Cincinnati, and this is one that I talked about in the teaser, and I'm using them in this segment as well. I'm not sold on Denver. Again, they had a big week last week. Yeah, we talked about it. It was against the Lions, who, was ecstatic. They got their first win, got that whammy off of getting the win the week before. Then they had all of the issues with players and COVID and everything else. And Denver just ran roughshod over them. This Bengal team was a darling with a lot of sharps over the last several weeks. And, they let them down the last couple of weeks. And to be honest with you, this offense, nobody has stopped the Bengal offense. The only people that have stopped the Bengal offense in the last few weeks have been the Bengals themselves with the turnovers. And I think if they get a clean game, they get to go on the road. You don't have to worry about, hearing boos from your own crowd whenever you're turning it over and falling behind. What I like that I did see with the Bengals in the last 2 weeks, Kelly, is even when they did fall behind from mistakes, that team did not quit. They rallied in both of the games. They were down 24-0 to the Chargers, and it was a 24-22 game going into the fourth quarter, and they were driving for the go-ahead score, and then they had a pick six that turned the game. Last week, they dug a hole early. 2 muff punts early in the game killed them, fell behind, and whenever you become a one-dimensional team and got to throw the football, it's much easier for defense to pin their ears back and come at you. That's what's happened the last couple of weeks. This week, that doesn't happen, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and take Cincinnati, take Joe Burrow to bounce back. They've got a ton of offensive weapons. I know the Broncos' defense has played well. They haven't faced an offense as good as the Bengals in some time, other than Kansas City, and Kansas City went up and down the field against them. I'll go ahead. I'll take Cincinnati, my barking dog. They're in my teaser. I also got them straight.
All right. Quick commercial break. When we come back, it's time for those best bets.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at WagerTalk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at WagerTalk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to WagerTalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
All right, it is time for those best bets, and I'm going to go first, even though there's not much left to say. Sunday night primetime game, taking Grandma. We're going to have a great time, and hopefully for her, the New Orleans Saints get the cover so that I can pay for those damn tickets. I understand kind of what the other guys were saying. the last time these two met, lose Jameis Winston, injured player theory mid-game, if you will. Yes, Trevor Siemian, thank you for doing what you needed to do. But since then, we know what Siemian did. He was struggling. He came back to his actual form. Since Taysom Hill has kind of proven that he should be able to run. And that is exactly what they did the last time these two teams met. The Saints ran the ball down the Bucs' throats. Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, run, kill that clock. I also like the under in this game. This is a Tampa Bay defense that we were so high on from the Super Bowl last year and even to start this year. But this defense is really a shell of its former self. I know they've won 4 straight, but this team has given up an average of 25 points in the last 3 games. Leonard Fournette is on my fantasy team, and I do need to beat Johnny Detroit, so maybe he can do all the scoring for the Bucs, just enough to make it like a 24-21 type game. Saints get the cover, Bucs get the win. Marco, who is your best bet for this week?
Well, Kelly, I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts. And as I said, full disclosure for my clients, I do have a live teaser from Monday with New England. They are 2 totally separate bets. That's in VR preaches all the time. You want to make good bets. Well, on Monday, my good bet was getting New England over the touchdown. That's what we did with that teaser. But now for this game, I'm going to go with Indianapolis. And the line's sitting at 2.5. I'm not going to lay the 2.5. I'm going to go money line, and I'll explain that at the end why I'm going money line with this game. But this game, very well, Kelly, I could have went and used this one as the sandwich game, and it would have been, a nice sandwich that you would have loved to eat. It would have been tasty because look at what Buffalo has. You can't get a bigger sandwich. It's a Buffalo sandwich. New England is playing. They played Buffalo their last game. They had last week off. That game they played Buffalo, we all saw it. That was the game with all the wind, snow, cold, everything. They scratched out the win. Then they had their bye week. This is a team that's on a winning streak right now. They've won 7 in a row. And the last thing you want when you're on a winning streak like that is a break. You don't want to stop the momentum. So now they're coming off that big win, the week off, feeling fat and sassy. They're ripe for a letdown. And this Indianapolis team, they are fighting for their playoff lives. This is a team that doesn't have much margin for error. They need to win this game. And if you look, they've won 4 of their last 5 games. This is a team that is scoring points right now. Suddenly, the Indianapolis offense is putting up points. They've scored 30 or more in 7 of their last 8 games. I'm going to take them to win this game, go in money line. And the reason I'm not taking the -2.5, first reason, I'll be real honest, I still got the bad taste in my mouth from Cleveland last week. And with Bill Belichick as the head coach, he does things sometimes out of the ordinary. And if you go back to the Buffalo game, the key play of that entire game was Bill Belichick deciding to go for 2 on the first touchdown. That set up the tone for the rest of the game because Buffalo dictated the rest of their decisions throughout the game because of what the number was sitting on. They had opportunities where they could have kicked the field goal if New England would have just kicked the extra point. But instead, they were forced to go for the touchdown. And twice, not once, but twice in that game, they bypassed the field goal instead of going for it instead. I am not going to have that happen and have this game land at 1 or 2. I'm going to go money line with this one because there'll be enough people betting New England that has the money line at a reasonable price. I got it at -140. That's where I'm at. That's my best bet. And I got a nice middle as well with New England plus 8.5 on the teaser.
Marco, I hope you're right. I also have New England in a teaser, but I also need the Colts on the money line. I have a little side bet. Under 9.5 wins is a dead-on loser with my good buddy Chris, but I just don't want to pay him yet. So just let's prolong it one more week. Let's get that Colts W. VR, who is your best bet for this week in the NFL?
All right. I went and laid some chalk this week. I laid the 8 with San Francisco with some juice, 8.5. And now 9, where it sits, I'm still comfortable all the way up to 10. San Francisco's the right side here. They're just going to crush Atlanta. They're just that much better. Every metric I look at that matters, defensively, they're just going to shut down Atlanta. I mean, against the rush, 5th success rate, 5th against the passing success rate. And then you look at even like the less predictive metrics, yards per point, yards per pass, rush per attempt, passing yard per. It's just everything you look at. On the defensive side of the ball, San Francisco's edges are so great. And then you look at the offense for Atlanta, they're averaging 5.3 yards per play. The NFL average is 5.7. So I have a well below average offense that's now facing a top 5 in success rate defense. Oh, not only against the rush, but against the pass as well. Yeah, Atlanta's going to have some problems. But also, I think you're going to get a lot of points out of San Francisco just because of how weak this Atlanta defense is. You could run on them. They're 27th defensively against the rush in success rate. It doesn't get better against the pass, where they're also 27th in success rate. Only 4 teams worse. Again, you have as big of a mismatch as you can get on paper. And I think that's going to play out when they get on the field Sunday. There's absolutely no reason it won't. San Francisco's coming off that overtime game, but they finally get back home where they haven't had a home game in a couple weeks. And more importantly, with Atlanta, they're the outlier. Remember what I said? We look for regressions. Atlanta, 4-4 over their last 8 games. Guess which 4 they won? The 4 on the road. All of those within 1 score. The 4 they lost, 3 out of the 4 by more than 1 score. No randomness in the losses. Ton of randomness in the wins, which happened on the road. Those are the regressions we live for. Give me Atlanta minus the chalk. And yes, the overs steamed as well. It's public, it's square, but the books are going to be needing that under because the wise guys hit it. Also, we bet the over as well. I moved that for one of the groups I work with. So there's a little gold for you. And here's another NFL for you. Jacksonville. Yep. Jacksonville Jaguars minus the 3. I know Jacksonville. Listen, there's only one team that's worse than Jacksonville. And guess what? Jacksonville gets to play them this week. So, yeah, Jacksonville is also a best bet for me this week. That's some gold to share. So I gave you Jacksonville plus that over in San Francisco we bet. But the best bet for the show is the San Francisco 49ers minus the 9.
That is hilarious. I literally just was laughing, VR, as I was checking. I also bet Jacksonville earlier this week. There was no chance I was giving out as a best bet, but the 3 was there, and I said, this is their one chance to get a win and a cover.
Yeah, that's what I did.
So I had to laugh, but like I said, there was no chance that I was even going to do that to myself after last week with Washington football team. Okay, we're going to take a last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to wrap it all up for you.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, college football bowl season, baby. And there are 42 bowl and playoff games to keep us entertained for almost 3.5 weeks. Starting with Toledo versus Middle Tennessee State and going through the national championship on Monday, January 10th, pick your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper and get every college football bowl game they release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $35 for the low price of $149. As an added bonus, make sure to download the free WagerTalk College Football Bowl Guide by going to wt.buzz/rm. From everyone at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, good luck this college football bowl season. Now you can enjoy the happiness of the holidays for the next 6 months by paying less and making more money by getting 180 days of picks from your favorite handicapper at a huge discount. This limited time Christmas special gives you a 90-day all-access pass with a handicapper of your choice at WagerTalk.com, plus an additional 90 days of all-access passes at no additional cost, an $849 value. This comes out to just under $5 per day, includes all sports released and any 5% best bets, normally priced at $35 each. Your access with your handicapper will cover NFL through the Super Bowl, college football through the national championship, any NBA and NHL action, including playoff games played during Access, and the start of the MLB season. Plus, if your handicapper does UFC, soccer, tennis, or any sport, yep, it's included. Happy holidays from everyone at WagerTalk.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us, previewing week 15 of the NFL. We did start off with some of those college football best bets for this weekend. Marco is on App State -3. I am on ULL -5. And VR says take Tennessee even up to -4.5. As far as the primetime games go, we all agree Kansas City -3 looks like the right side. VR said the steam game of the week is New England and Indianapolis over 45 for Saturday. Marco says take Indianapolis on the money line. We all agree on New Orleans +11, which makes me very happy because that is my best bet for this week in the NFL. VR said he's going to pass on the teasers, but he gave you guys a few other little sprinkles throughout there. Marco says Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are his Wong teasers of the week. Sandwich game, it is ugly. Carolina +10.5. Barking dogs, Cincinnati +2.5 for Marco. VR adds back in that New Orleans Saints to make me even happier for my best bet. His best bet, though, is the Niners -9. And Marco says give him the Colts on the money line. Again, thank you guys. Please smash that like button. Jump in the comments. VR wants to really give you this gold. He is a very generous guy, I swear.
I and also, Marco, more than anything. Marco
needs a little bit of extra love so the deli doesn't get closed. All jokes aside, Ralph, Marco, VR, and myself do thank you guys for hanging out with us each and every week. Until Monday, let's bet on it.